And I thought, thank goodness we're not handing out the time and talent sheets today. A few more weeks to think about that. Pray about it. But here's the promise. The promise is this, that in the sacrifice of the self, not only will a better self be forged, but the reign of God unfolds in its glory, a different glory. We are able. Not saying that out of some sort of puffery. You know, earlier in Mark, I just remember Jesus gives James and John a nickname. He calls them sons of thunder. Couple windbags. More like it. We are able. Yes, Lord. But there's something good about that. Caroline Lewis, a New Testament associate professor over at Luther Seminary in St. Paul, encourages us to think of ableness in this way. To go for it. To think of ableness as an I can response that doesn't really have to look any farther than the moment of need. I am able to the situation you find yourself in suddenly. I am able for the person in front of you. I am able to the task that appears before us. Because following Jesus isn't about certainty. Think about it. Fishermen became preachers, women became leaders, and it's the little children that will lead us all into God's reign. Jesus says the last are going to be first. And so sometimes I think when we hesitate, it's because we're afraid of all this newness. We're afraid of it all. But it can't be that we're afraid to fail. That doesn't seem to count here. Jesus is able. Jesus is able to take our abilities and make us able. Because we fail every day, don't we? In some way. Parenting, in our relationships, in our work, at school, somehow we stumble. But Jesus calls us to difficult tasks. He doesn't leave us there. He enables us to say, we are able. Every week I see how you people are able. Look at what our youth did for the sake of homeless people. I am just blown away that they raised $10,000 and that they experienced and tried to think about what that might be like. To grow their compassion. You guys grew, didn't you? From that sacrifice and time and giving, and found you are able. From this terse and tense conversation between Jesus, James, and John, here's our takeaway. Jesus wants to draw us beyond, the kind of discipleship approach that we would choose, kind of a consumer buffet type. Instead, to really follow the Lord in a daring, in a serving, yes, a self-sacrificing and a self-giving life. And we have communion today, so I want to get back to that image of the cup. Because after I read all the things in the Old Testament about the cup of God's wrath and punishment for turning away from Him and doing things our own way, or not doing things that the Lord calls us to, I trembled thinking about coming to communion and drinking that cup. And so, what does it mean to come to the Lord's Supper and drink that cup with Him? Well, we don't have to fear. Because both in the words of institution and what Jesus did a few days after that conversation means that this is a new cup. A cup of salvation. A cup of forgiveness. A cup of new life. And it's right here that He gives us the strength, the hope, the optimism, and the courage to say, I am able, Lord. Amen.